welcome back to Mouthing Off with Mike, and we are almost at the end of the first week of 2024, so I may be a little late to the party when it comes to year-end awards for 2023, but hey, that's what I could do. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first ever Mouthing Off with Mike year-end awards for this past year in 2023 in the world of professional wrestling. Now, I want to start off this episode by saying, first and foremost, there was a lot of tremendous professional wrestling out in the world this year, in North America, in the UK, in Japan, all across the globe. But I'm just one man, so I was unable to watch all of the professional wrestling out there. So most of these awards will predominantly be based upon WWE and AEW. Now, I will sprinkle a few in because they need to get discussed from Ring of Honor, from New Japan Pro Wrestling. But for the most part, most of these awards will come from WWE and AEW. And remember, these awards have no bearing on any professional wrestler. There's no bearing on anything. These are just for fun. These are just some crazy awards that I cooked up. So without further ado, let's get into the award show here on the Mouthing Off with Mike Wrestling Podcast.
Mouthing Off with Mike, Mouthing Off with Mike, Mouthing Off with Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the first ever year-end wrestling awards for the Mouthing Off with Mike Wrestling Podcast. So I'm going to start off this award show with two feel-good awards and two feel-good moments of the year. The first moment of the year is going to go to WWE for Backlash in Puerto Rico. Now, I don't know, since then we've seen a crowd hyper than Backlash in Puerto Rico, so just because it has been in my mind since May, Backlash Puerto Rico wins the WWE moment of the year. For the AEW moment of the year of 2023, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the first stadium show for AEW, as well as the first wrestling show in Wembley Stadium in quite some time. That's going to go to AEW All In over in Wembley Stadium. On the Mouthing Off with Mike year-end awards for 2023 for professional wrestling, you know I love me some big, meaty men bumping meat. And if you're a fan of this show, you know that I absolutely love Big E, and of course that meme that he made all those years ago, because honestly, it is the perfect way to describe when you got two big men just bumping meat, man. It just works. And this award is going to go to four individuals because of their impact in the meaty man world. The first is going to go to AEW wrestlers, the Redeemer Miro, and of course Powerhouse Hobbs, for their iconic meat match all the way back at All Out in Chicago. And of course, a little bit of a growing rivalry towards the middle to ending of 2023 in WWE. The Meaty Man Award for WWE is going to go to Ivar of the Viking Raiders and the Colossal Bronson Reed. Here's to much more meat bumping in 2024 for all these men. Once again, keeping up with the fun that I like to have here on Mouthing Off with Mike. And if you haven't caught any of my content in the year of 2023, be on the lookout here for 2024, because I'm coming for the crown. This next award here on the show we're going to touch base on is actually going to be a combined award. Now, if you've been keeping up with the show, I did mid-year awards. Oh, man, probably in the middle of the year at some point. And I had an award that I came up with, which is the Meme Machine Award. Now, after a year of professional wrestling has come and went, there was a lot of funny moments, and a lot of wrestlers made some good memes. We saw, most notably, before the end of the year, the Kurt Angle 1,000-yard stare meme take off. You'll see that here. But for me, the meme machines of 2023 were Timeless Tony Storm, Prince Nana, Daniel Garcia, Cody and Jay at the Yeet Conference, Jimmy Uso with the No Yeet, And of course, all of the videos and the hype packages from Better Than You, baby. So, of course, Timeless Stony, just because of the chin up, tits out, watch for the shoe, hysterical. Prince Nana, for the swerve when you drive dance. Daniel Garcia for his little dance. Cody and Jay, that Yeet conference.
Yeet.
They had some libations on the tour bus. They were a little lit after they won the tag team championships. Very funny stuff. And of course, Jimmy Uso, no yeet. Better Than You, baby. That kind of goes without saying. Those video packages were hysterical. You had MJF destroying kids at a trampoline park with a dodgeball. So those right there are your meme machines of 2023 from Mouthing Off with Mike. Another award that I constructed back in the middle of the year for my mid-year awards, and this is the Mouth Off Award. Now, I really, at the time when I first unveiled it, did not really have a clear-cut idea of what this award was going to be back in the middle of the year. Now that the year's come, I've had a couple weeks to think about it. It's going to be a subjective award just based upon who I think deserves some shine for the year of 2023 and from here on out. So the Mouth Off Award, no, is a very subjective award. It's going to be a little bit opinion-based, but it's going to be an award that I feel that we should recognize some stars from 2023. First off, Jon Moxley. The man is a workhorse. He deserves his credit. Fans may not like him. Fans may be sick of him. I don't know, but for the most part, I love Jon Moxley. The guy is a workhorse. Daniel Garcia in the year of 2023 really started to come into his own now, and I think heading into 2024, it could be a big year for Danny G. Orange Cassidy, what more could you say about the guy? I personally wasn't a fan of him all the way back in 2019. I didn't understand it. I understood it pretty quick going on, and Orange Cassidy has been a bright side for AEW. He had a great he had a great Atlantic Championship run, and it's transformed a lot of, what we see with Orange Cassidy and his story. Another wrestler from AEW that I think we should shed some light on is Willow Nightingale. Willow, I think, is poised for a big 2024 as well. She had a really great 2023 coming into, AEW and having some matches, most notably with Mercedes Mone at the beginning of 2023. So I think Willow's poised for a big 2024 year, maybe hold some gold in AEW. And of course, on the WWE side, more specifically NXT, I'd like to shine some light on Trick Williams. Whoop that trick. Yeah, I like it. Mello and Ilya Dragunov, all guys who I think are going to see a big year in 2024, whether they get called up to the main roster or in NXT. I predict some big years for those guys. So that's kind of what the Mouth Off Award will be. Some time to shine some light on some wrestlers that may not have won awards on the show or just who I think deserve some recognition. So I'm going to go ahead and get into who I felt had the promo of the year in WWE. Now, there was actually a few individuals who I felt delivered some really great promos. I think Cody Rhodes' promos on the road to WrestleMania after him winning the Royal Rumble last year was phenomenal. I think we got a great interaction between two very similar wrestlers, sports entertainers. That was LA Knight, and the A-lister, the awesome one, The Miz. And most notably, maybe a little recency bias here for your host, but I really want to shed a little light here on this promo from just before the year ended with the confrontation for the first time in almost a decade between Seth frickin' Rollins and CM Punk. I think Seth did a wonderful job here in hyping up this potential dream match, and the possibility of it taking place at WrestleMania is now even greater than it was after this promo. So, those right there are your promos of the year for WWE. Cody Rhodes, LA Knight, The Miz, Seth, and CM Punk were kind of the interactions that I thought deserved some light here. For the AEW side, promos of the year, it kind of goes without saying. It's kind of a blanket statement at this point, but MJF had numerous fantastic promos with himself, with Adam Cole, baby. So MJF gets for AEW promo of the year. And I would be remiss if I didn't include this because this broke the internet for the basic entirety of 2023 after it happened. but the first face-off between Christian Cage and the rated R superstar Adam Copeland, formerly known as Edge, and we got the infamous GFY from Christian Cage. When you think of the Rookie of the Year in terms of professional sports, you think of someone who it's their first year in the league. You know, you think NFL, you think MLB, you think NBA. Now, this guy, he's been in professional wrestling for quite some time, but I've yet to see somebody go from NXT to the main roster in the time that they did. And for me, I could have given you multiple, but for me, the Rookie of the Year is going to go to a WWE/NXT superstar, and that's Dragon Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Dragon Lee took NXT by storm here in 2023. He ended up getting called up to the main roster to SmackDown, and then he ended up winning the NXT North American Championship, and he did that essentially in his first year in the company. So your Rookie of the Year is going to be in WWE this year. It's going to be Dragon Lee. Don't worry, my AEW fans. I've got some breakout stars to discuss, and I think you'll be happy with one of the breakout stars. So your Rookie of the Year, Dragon Lee, because I've never seen a main roster debut like that and the popularity that he gained in such a short time. Want great professional wrestling, in-ring action, but you also want a really great story to go with it. This next award here on the Mailing Off with Mike year-end awards is going to touch base on your best storyline in WWE and AEW. Now, for me, and I'm sure you kind of all know where I'm headed with this award, the best storyline in WWE was the Bloodline. Now, we know the Bloodline has been going on for years and years and years. We are now, I would take a best guess, if we were to reference Paul Heyman with the innings, I would say we're somewhere in the 7th inning stretch, it seems, at this point in 2024. As for where we ended in 2023, maybe we're in the top of the 7th. Right now, I'd say we're in that 7th inning stretch. The best storyline for WWE, the Bloodline. I don't think anything really in WWE touches that. You could argue the finishing of the story by Cody Rhodes, but that really hasn't been set forth just yet in the year of 2023. I think that's going to heat up in 2024, come right around this time. As for AEW, for me, it took me by storm. At one point, it was almost better than the Bloodline. That was the Better Than You Baby storyline, where two unlikely foes become best of friends, and then it was the devil. So Better Than You Baby, who's the devil? We now know that's Adam Cole, baby. Much to the dislike of MJF and his poor heart, which has now been broken. But those are your best storylines for WWE and AEW, at least in this podcast host's personal opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the segment of the show where I got to shine some light here on some comebacks of 2023. Now, originally, I was going to have the comeback award be for a wrestler who may not have been hitting their stride, and then they ended up, kind of catapulting. I reworked that. We got breakout stars instead. Now, the comeback wrestler of the year is going to be focused primarily on coming back from an injury. Now, for AEW, I want to shed some light here on a fantastic young up-and-coming wrestler, Dante Martin. Dante Martin absolutely shattered his leg early in 2023 at a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. He most notably made his return just about a month ago to AEW television. So shout out to Dante Martin for coming back from that broken leg. As for another person in AEW who came back from an injury, which I don't know how they did it, quite honestly, Bryan Danielson. The man came back from a broken forearm in record time. I don't think anybody humanly could do what he can do. He's even wrestling right now through a broken orbital bone. Insane. For WWE, you're overcoming an injury comeback award, Randy Orton the Viper. We thought Randy was going to have a career-ending back injury, but thankfully the wrestling gods are granting Randy to come back, and he made his return at Survivor Series in November of 2023, and he is now back full-time. So Great to see Randy healthy, in the best shape of his life, I'd say, dare I? And of course, Dante Martin and Bryan Danielson for overcoming their injuries. It's time to talk about those shocking moments that took place in professional wrestling. We're going to start off here with WWE, and I've got two main moments that really shocked me. The first, of course, WWE merging with TKO and the UFC to create TKO, I should say. And Vince McMahon out in most of his prominent roles within the company. Absolutely shocked me. I did not think the day was going to come. I'll be honest, I thought Vince McMahon was never going to give up control until maybe the day, he passed away. So, absolutely shocking. I want to thank my good friend Mike Davis for dropping that in my ear here for the award show. I think his dad actually addressed that to him. So shout out to Mike and his dad for that one, because that one I almost forgot about, but that was a very shocking moment. The other shocking moment in WWE, a never say never moment took place. CM Punk returned to WWE at Survivor Series in Chicago. There was a lot of speculation. There was a lot of what ifs. There was a lot of no, it's not happenings. But at the end of the day, in the 11th hour, it was pulled together, and CM Punk is now back with WWE. For me, AEW's most shocking moment is kind of a recency bias, but there was a lot that took place in AEW, but I don't think anything shocked me much like Adam Cole's betrayal of MJF. We thought Better Than You, Baby was bulletproof, but Adam Cole, much like the song goes, shot us through the heart, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Cole was the devil, and he turned on MJF. There were a lot of damn good professional wrestling matches in the year of 2023. I could probably spend 2, 3, 4 hours talking about all of them, but I'm going to give you some awards here. And these awards you can kind of call Mike's favorites. You can kind of call Mike's favorite matches, whatever you want to call them. But some of my favorite matches that took place here this year in WWE and AEW, and a couple that were not within WWE and AEW. One was in Ring of Honor and one was in New Japan. So first, we're going to start off with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defying the odds and dethroning the Usos at WrestleMania 39 for the undisputed tag team titles. Next up, a triple threat match that took place at WrestleMania 39. Gunther versus Sheamus versus Drew. Another really great match in WWE. For your women's match here in WWE that I think was probably the best of the best, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania 39. I feel like that's a large consensus out there when it comes to wrestling podcasters. For the AEW men's matches of the year, I'm going to go ahead and take it back to Revolution of 2023. Bryan Danielson and MJF in that 60-minute Iron Man match. Insane. And most notably, most recent, the Texas death match between Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page, where we watched a man drink another man's blood, staple his children's artwork to another man, and also hang the hangman. So some crazy moments there. For your women's match in AEW, I'm going to take it all the way back to April, a Dynamite episode which saw Jamie Hayter take on Riho. I had to do a lot of research here. There were some good women's matches in AEW, but I felt this was one of the better ones out of the list here. For your women's match that did not necessarily take place in AEW, I'm going to go ahead and give that to Athena and Willow for their match at Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, where they actually main evented the show. As for another men's match that took place outside of AEW and WWE and Ring of Honor, I would have to give it to Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega from Wrestle Kingdom last year, as well as their match at Forbidden Door. So that, I would say, were some of my favorite matches this year in professional wrestling across multiple different companies. It is time for the awards that you are probably anticipating here. we're going to get into the best women's and men's wrestlers for AEW, the best tag team for AEW and WWE. We're going to get into the breakout stars. We're going to first start with the tag teams of the year, first for WWE, and I'm going to give it to them because I loved what they were able to do this year. They became mainstays on Monday Night Raw, and that's going to go to the Alpha Academy. A thank you for your AEW Tag Team of the Year. I think it's pretty obvious. A lot of people voted for him, even ESPN. That's going to go to FTR for AEW. Let's talk about some wrestlers in the year of 2023 that broke out. And I'm going to start here with some of the men's breakout stars of 2023 in WWE. First things first, I'm going to say LA Knight. Yeah. The Aussie, Grayson Waller, and Dirty Dominic Mysterio himself. I felt that those three men really broke through to the other side in 2023 and are probably poised for some big moments in 2024. As for your women's breakout stars in WWE, I'm going to go ahead and give them to three women. They're going to be in NXT. Tiffany Stratton, Fallon Henley, and Lyra Valkyria. Lyra most notably defeated Becky for the NXT Women's Championship. For your AEW Women's breakout star, that's going to go to House of Black and current TBS champion, Julia Hart. The house never loses, ladies and gentlemen. For your AEW men's breakout star, there's just one because I think he's poised for the biggest 2024 out of everybody. That's going to be Swerve Strickland. The final four awards from your hosts here for Mouthing Off with Mike. Those four awards are going to be your AEW and WWE Women's Wrestlers of the Year, your AEW and WWE Men's Wrestlers of the Year. When I go ahead and go into these four awards, in the final Mouth Off with Mike, I'll go ahead and give you some of my predictions for the upcoming year in professional wrestling in 2024. So don't go anywhere once these awards are awarded to the respective winners. First and foremost, we're going to start off with the AEW Women's Wrestler of the Year. Get the black and white ready, ladies and gentlemen. Watch for the shoe. Timeless Toni Storm is your AEW Women's Wrestler of the Year. She made the largest impact in the women's division this past year, I would say, and her gimmick is amazing. Next up, your AEW Men's Wrestler of the Year. He's actually won a few awards already on this show, but I gotta give it to him, Bryan Danielson. The man, I don't know what he's made of, but he came back from an injury in record time. He's currently wrestling with a broken orbital bone in his eye, and he's putting on bangers. So Bryan Danielson respectfully gets the AEW Men's Wrestler of the Year award. Next up here for WWE's Men's and Women's Wrestlers of the Year. For WWE on the women's side, it goes without saying, ladies and gentlemen, she is an icon already. This stage in the game, Mommy is always on top. Rhea Ripley is your WWE Women's Wrestler of 2023. And for the men's side, you got to do the work. The man went from undesirable to undeniable. And he's looking to finish a story at WrestleMania 40. Your WWE Men's Wrestler of the Year is the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my awards. We've got some made-up ones. We've got some fun ones. We had some meaty ones. And we also got to take a look back here. Some of my favorite moments and matches of 2023. Here's to professional wrestling hitting even a greater level in the year of 2024. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you like one thing, if you like another thing and someone may not like it, that's okay, ladies and gentlemen. Just go out there and enjoy professional wrestling. But hang on, don't go anywhere, because in the final Mouth Off, I'm going to give you my predictions for 2024. And here of Mouthing Off with Mike, and typically if you're a fan of the show, you know how we do things. Usually the final Mouth Off, it's kind of my unfiltered, opinionated thoughts on what's going on in professional wrestling or anything notable that might be taking place for the award show, I figured it would be fitting to go ahead and give you some of my 2024 predictions in the world of professional wrestling. So first and foremost, I'm going to make the prediction in 2024 that Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes will feud. I'm also going to go ahead and get bold here and say that AJ Lee returns at the Royal Rumble in a couple weeks. I also feel that CM Punk will main event WrestleMania and also hold gold in 2024. I'm predicting a big one here, ladies and gentlemen, that Cody Rhodes will finish the story at WrestleMania 40. Jade Cargill is going to debut in the Royal Rumble and hold the record for eliminations in the Women's Royal Rumble. I also think a bold one here for Royal Rumble, that Bayley will win the Royal Rumble. I also think that WWE will do record numbers across the globe in 2024, continuing their trend. I also think MJF will, in fact, re-sign to AEW. Swerve Strickland will win the AEW World Championship. Athena will win the AEW Women's Championship. Mercedes Mone, formerly known as Sasha Banks, will return home to WWE. And last but certainly not least, I predict in 2024 that TNA will make an impact. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Mailing Off with Mike year-end awards for the 2023 year in professional wrestling. It was a great year. If your favorites weren't included or there was matches, moments, wrestlers, anything that you thought deserved to be in this episode, I'm sorry. Next year, I'm sure there'll be even more to talk about. But if any of those moments that you feel very, very strongly about did not make the show, drop a comment here down below. Tell me what you liked in 2023. Tell me your predictions for 2024 in professional wrestling. From your host here at Mailing Off with Mike Wrestling Podcast, I'm signing off. Go out there and enjoy 2024 in professional wrestling.
Mouthing off.